Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to Joy of Stationery. I'm Jennifer, and for today's video I have a special little Valentine's edition of what's in my bag, with also just a quick little update on some of my everyday carry essentials when it comes to planning and journaling, because that's what's inside here. So I wanted to share the bag that I am carrying around with me for February and for Valentine's Day, in the kind of spirit of feelings and love, I guess. And that is this lovely bag here. I actually got this a few years ago from Baum-Kuchen, and this is actually a Atelier Penelope bag, and you can see it's a large kind of bag here. I don't know if you can it might not quite fit in the camera, and it's got this nice little, I don't know if it's actually suede or if it's just kind of that texture, but we've got a little bit of a suede lining here kind of at the top and with these tote bag handles. And there's also a shoulder strap that can be worn in different ways. But I just kind of wanted to show you what's in my bag for this kind of February Valentine's edition. So you can see first that I have this adorable patch here. This is two cats in the shape of a heart, and I actually put this on the bag in order to personalize it a little bit, and I just felt like it added a nice little touch of cuteness and character to it. And the way that this bag works is that this top part kind of folds over if you want to carry it with the shoulder straps like this. And you know, when you do that, it becomes almost a kind of little bit of a slouchy bag in a way, but it also, you know, makes it so that you can it hides it a little bit if you want to be a little bit more professional or a little bit more subtle. But I love that this is still kind of there as just this nice little touch, this little peak of love here. So that's what I did to kind of personalize this. And it's, you know, it's quite a nice bag otherwise. This isn't quite canvas, but you know, feels close to it. It is a very kind of durable fabric, and I don't remember what the name of this bag was exactly in terms of the style, but I remember that the colorway, or the kind of the color that it was advertised as, was blush, and it is kind of like a very almost like grayish beige that's quite light here, and this is a little bit of a dusty kind of brown. And then I think the zipper itself, you can see, is a little bit almost like a purplish gray, so I think that's where kind of the idea of blush comes from. But I like it. It's a really kind of subtle and I think sophisticated colorway, but that also can be, you know, cutened up if you will. And that's what I wanted to do with a little patch here that I hope is still a nice, you know, nice, simple but elegant touch, at least in my kind of cute interpretation of elegant. So if you open up the bag here, you can kind of see inside, and it is kind of a tote bag that's quite deep, and so you can, oops. So there's a lot of depth to it, and I think it's because when you hold it a certain way, this top part kind of folds over and kind of slouches over. So I'll show you what I have in here, because these are kind of my essential items, my everyday carry items. So first I have the wallet. This is the drawer pouch pocket size in the natural leather by Hobonichi. I've got the 1000 Sunny cover that's housing an A6 notebook, among other things, and this is the Hobonichi and One Piece collaboration cover. And then finally I have my Traveler's Notebook in the standard size. This is the blue Traveler's Notebook cover that is customized through the Truly Yours service by Baum-Kuchen with this lovely leaf and some initials there. And this is housing my Hobonichi Weeks, and so I'll go through this as well. So before I show you the updates on the everyday carries, I just want to show you also like in here. So basically, I'm not sure if you can see this. I hope that you can, but there's kind of an inside pocket that is actually placed at the very bottom, and it's kind of in the middle. So it's kind of an interesting construction, I think, in the bag, but because of that, you can store different things in the two pockets themselves and have those things at least be kind of organized or separate from some of the things in the main parts of the bag itself. And you can see there's a little label there, Ateliers Penelope. I hope you can see that. So in any case, I just wanted to show and share this bag and the way that I'd customized it here. As well as sort of show you, these are my two main everyday notebooks, everyday carries, if you will. And so I just wanted to kind of share them. To simplify things, this is my main planner here, and this is my main journal. And I know that in my videos from January, I had mentioned what my planner lineup was and my journal lineup was, and both of those things are still very much the same. I just wanted to kind of flag the one main planner and the one main journal for my everyday reaches. So I'll start with the journal. This is the Thousand Sunny cover, and what this has actually become is my main journal that evolved out of both my morning pages as well as the kind of anytime journal. And I had spoken to those two types of journals in my previous video. So as I was going through the practice of doing morning pages, as well as keeping an anytime journal, and I had kept those in separate journals, I realized there was a lot more overlap to that. And I remember starting to suspect as much when I was filming that last video. And sure enough, it did evolve into this particular practice of keeping what I am now calling my life notes. And I've really been enjoying this. So this has basically become a combination of morning pages and anytime journaling, but with a little bit more intention, I would say, and perhaps with a little bit more care. I have a little bit more of a kind of casual, informal journal if I needed to kind of spill over and really process through some difficult feelings and such, and things that I'd like to keep a lot more private. But overall, this has really become, again, what I've been calling my life notes, because it's been kind of a combination of journaling out my thoughts as well as some of my feelings about things, but in ways that sometimes also lead to different kinds of brainstorming and different kinds of notes, and even maybe kinds of creativity as well, just in terms of ideas. And so I felt like this has become a really interesting for me compilation of notes, maybe from my life, about my life, in a way that I've been really appreciating. So let me show you a little bit about what that looks like. So this is just the Hobonichi Plain Notebook, and this is in the botanical design from last spring release, so the spring release of 2023, and that's when I had gotten this, but I'm finally using it here. It's still very plain. I have a little cute little snowflake charm on a paper clip that I'm just kind of using for a little bit of character. And this is my table of contents. It's extremely, extremely bare bones, But basically what I did was I used a mild liner or highlighter just with some faint colors here. This is kind of a pink, a bluish, sort of a dusty bluish, kind of a sage green, and then a purple to correspond with the 4 sections of a Hobonichi Plain Notebook. So for those of you who may not be familiar with it, the Hobonichi Plain Notebooks basically have 4 sections, and each of those sections are determined by a different colored grid. And so these are the colors of the different grids as you go from section to section. The first section has this kind of pink red grid. The second section has a kind of blue grid. The third has, again, a kind of like sage greenish, olivish, but very light green grid. And the fourth has a kind of purple toned grid. And so because of that, I just used some different colors to indicate that. And then I just stamped what entry begins on that particular section. And I'm just trying this out and seeing how I like it, because this has been a really lovely experiment that I'm thinking will become a lot more permanent. So let me just show a little bit about what that looks like. I've been using the Eric Smallthings Tearaway calendar, the daily calendar, to begin each of the daily entries like this, and then just a quick date stamp, and then just, again, journaling, writing, whatever it is. And it has become a really kind of successful experiment for me, where there's always a tearaway daily that quickly separates the different entries, and I really like that, actually. And then just, again, really simple, but it has allowed me to get into a really consistent practice of daily journaling and kind of keeping a record of my thoughts and the way that they blend into maybe certain outlines, so I'm able to do a little bit of brainstorming in here as well. Sometimes I mess up with the date stamp, which I'm still, learning, and it smudges sometimes a little bit. But every day, this has been my go-to, and there's something about the practice of writing every day kind of in this consistent manner that's made it such that, my ideas are flowing a lot better. I'm getting a better sense of ideas too, or like my thoughts. You can see here I've diagrammed how I might want to use the pages of a different notebook. This is actually for the A5 plain notebook, but I had some ideas about, how would I want to break up the page if I want to use it for a similar purpose. And so, I'm able to do some of that here as well and kind of play around with layout ideas. And again, it's just been such a lovely way to just keep a running record of my thoughts and of my life. And this has become really my main journal now. And you can see, again, it's just been so consistent, and it's been really nice to know that I always have this space to go back to. And, here and there, it is a lot of writing to look back on, and I know some people don't quite go back and look at their previous entries. I do for this, and I just sometimes underline something, and it's just a really subtle way to kind of remind me, like, okay, that's the entry where I was talking about this particular thing when I want to flip back. And I mean, when I flip through it like this, I love that I have this now, and it's this archive of my thoughts and of my life. And so it really has become kind of a series of life notes that I've been keeping in here, and I've just really been loving it. I have this as a little planner for my cat here, the Mofusand planner. So this is so thin that I'm able to kind of keep it together with this here. And it's just been really lovely to develop this into kind of a fully fledged journaling practice, right? And so these are now officially my life notes, and I'm excited to keep going with this, and especially to continue to use the Hobonichi Plain Notebooks for it. And I'm really excited to see how it looks like once I have an archive of them. You know, how many will I go through in a year? But just having a collection of these cute small notebooks and having them all in a row to kind of cover my life notes for the year is just something that is sounding really fun and satisfying to me. Oh, you can also see there's been a little bit more of the patina, and I really have been loving using this cover and slowly, you know, seeing the aging process on it. So then my other everyday carry that's in my bag setup is this blue TN, to which my Hobonichi Weeks has returned. So for a little period of time, I had actually taken out the Hobonichi Weeks and put it into a different cover. But somewhat recently, I decided to move back into it, this time with a much slimmer sort of profile and much sort of slimmer wrapping. And so rather than using a kind of wallet insert to house the Hobonichi Weeks in, I decided to just use this craft folder, and I already had this, and it has some decoration with some Megan Rhiannon stickers and this lovely little floral sticker that I had gotten as a freebie from Miso Paper in the UK. But because this is so nice and slim, it's allowed me to kind of carry around what was becoming a little bit more of a fluffy Weeks, and to bring that around with me in the standard traveler's notebook much more easily. And I've got you know, a few little things on this side, and otherwise I have just been kind of sticking the Hobonichi Weeks in the clear cover just on the other secretarial pocket of the craft folder. And this has been a really, really, once again, successful experiment with consistency for my planning as well. So this is really my go-to planner. I think I showed a little bit last time of, you know, again, just really basic appointments and things on the monthlies themselves. And then I just put some monthly goals down on the bottom here. And then the weekly pages themselves have been really satisfying to go through. So I've pretty much been using a similar layout. I think I mentioned last time that it's a layout that was inspired by Setuna, but some of that has changed a little bit. The left side has remained consistent, and then I slowly started moving some of the things on the right-hand side around. I also have had this little kind of memo decoration where I put the month on the week that the month starts and the word of the month that I've decided on. So if you see this, it's been really consistent. I'd primarily been using this side as just a running task list for the week. And then it starts to shift a little bit in a while. I hope, see, this was January, when January began, and my word of the month for January was dream. And I think this is sort of where things start to, where I start to kind of experiment a little bit with some things on the side, and then kind of splitting this up a little bit into weekly goals and then weekly tasks. And then what I've decided on finally, and just in time for February. So my word for February is actually feel. And this is really kind of informed by wanting to get in deeper touch with my feelings. I think so much in modern life and sometimes in the workplace, there is a way that we're encouraged to disregard our feelings or to kind of put them aside. But I think there's a lot of strength in recognizing the depth of one's feelings, of allowing yourself to feel those feelings, and that being attuned to the way that you feel can really help you to come to more holistic insights and understandings about things. And that's something that I really wanted to nurture this month. And so basically things have kind of stayed the same on the left-hand side, but this has changed up a little bit because you can see I have this big tracker here. And so I'll speak more to that in this spread, which is the kind of the last complete one. This is the week that we're on, and so I'm still working on it. But basically, and I've got this cute little heart here, the left-hand page is divided up into 3, and this is again kind of inspired by Setna. I have one kind of primary, like usually a primary kind of priority for the day on here, as well as certain time-bound appointments. I've got a little indication of the day's weather and the high and the low temperatures for that day. And then I've got some of the tasks, or maybe a brief note of something from that day that I can just kind of keep track of in this right column here. And then on the right hand side, what I've decided to do is kind of break this up into different sections. So I've got this section up here, which kind of fits the little decor that I've had for each of the week. And this is where I list my weekly goals and priorities. I then have this column here, which uses the kind of invisible line. Initially in previous spreads, I had used it to continue each of the days, but I've decided to keep this separate now. And this is a very, very slim to-do list, but where I can just quickly jot down the major tasks for the week. And then I can go into a little bit more detail on the micro level, you know, in this rightmost section on the left-hand page. This middle section I've decided to use as a tracker, and this is specific to my health and to my symptoms, particularly with regards to my chronic and long-term illness. And so I list a number of the symptoms, as well as different kinds of things that might trigger it, or again be related to how my body or other aspects of my health kind of react to things, so I can better have a sense of, you know, what kinds of things I might have done that day or might have triggered that day that have, you know, exacerbated symptoms, or maybe it wasn't too bad of a symptom day. And then I have, you know, Monday through Sunday up here, and I just make a check mark. And I've been circling particular of the check marks in blue or red, kind of depending on the severity, and that also gives me a quick kind of visual glance about what was particularly difficult that day, what were the symptoms that were a little bit more severe, and that I could take to my my GP or my doctor. And then finally on the bottom here, I have a little section for the weekly reflection, and that way I've been able to have a little bit of a reflection on the week, especially what kind of stood out, some things that I maybe came to certain conclusions about, and it makes for a really helpful kind of visual summary of the week for me. So that is what I am starting to do over here as well. You can see that I set this up already, and you know, I'm kind of going through these various things, but I love that I've come up with this, and it's been working really, really well for me. And so I just kind of wanted to share that just as a quick little update of my, again, everyday systems here. And just as a last little treat to go along with the kind of what's in my bag Valentine's edition, I just wanted to share the earrings that I'll be wearing, that are kind of, you know, love themed. And these are these really cute little heart earrings that I actually picked up from a secondhand, sort of a secondhand thrift vintage store for quite cheap, just a few pounds really. But I thought these were really quite lovely and really, you know, cute, but also has a kind of vintagey elegance to them. And I thought they were just a nice way to celebrate Valentine's Day. In a way, just to, as you might have seen from my previous videos on Christmas and Halloween, I do like to have, you know, some festive earrings or kind of thematic earrings. I think it's always a lot of fun to have those. So, yep, these are just some earrings. I'll just show you how I put these back in my bag here. Because the TN is quite big, I've not put it in one of the pockets, but I can just kind of have that to the side. Oops, if I can, it might be a little bit awkward to try to do this on camera, but I don't know if you can kind of see it, but it's on the side there. And then the A6 Hobonichi, I've actually been able to slip into one of the pockets. And so it, you know, it sort of organizes it and keeps it separate. And then same with my kind of wallet setup as well, is I can kind of use the other pocket for that. And then when I'm going out, I often also include things like hand sanitizer, maybe some lip balm and things like that. But yeah, there you go. So I hope that this was just a fun little video. I'm debating whether or not to share an unboxing with you as part of this video towards the end, but I guess we'll see. But in any case, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed just this brief update, and I'm hoping to come to you all with another video soon. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.